This movie is about one of the greatest leagues of all time, the Justice League. The movie begins with a submarine coursing through the Marianas Trench, working on the investigation of an SOS signal from the middle of the ocean. The radar detects a signal from some people. Weird, right? What are humans doing thousands of miles in the depth of the Atlantic? Suddenly, the submarine is hit by something and it begins to sink. The captain tries to signal the control room to send help, but all in vain. The entire crew is eliminated as the submarine is wrecked, sinking into the bottomless darkness of the ocean. Next, we see Cyborg at the headquarters of the Justice League, the Star Labs, where he is informed of the submarine attack by Trevor. He tells Cyborg the naval submarine is missing its missiles and asks him to bring the Justice League together to get to the bottom of this. Cyborg denies the existence of the League as it is not official. He decides to take a look at it by teleporting to the submarine. As he looks for discrepancies, the Cyborg finds handprints on the structure. While reviewing the security camera footage, he notices that it has been corrupted. However, he is attacked by something moving too fast for him. When he realizes he cannot tackle his attacker, he uses his boom tube to get back, to gather the Justice League for their help. Next, a guy named Arthur Curry is seen drowning his sorrows away with drinks at a bar in Mercy Reef, Maine. He is seen talking to a lobster in the fish tank, telling him that he is an emotional wreck as he recently lost his dad. As the bar staff tries to take the lobster to prepare a meal, Arthur resists, and a bar fight takes place. Arthur knocks them all out. Furious, the main guy tries to stab him, breaking his blade. Arthur plunges him into the water. As he walks away, unsure of who he is, we see Mira, who has been keeping an eye on Arthur. At the headquarters, Shazam joins Cyborg, followed by the Flash. Finding they are the only ones there, Flash leaves to inform Hal, the Green Lantern, about the meeting, whereas Shazam and Cyborg go to fetch Superman and Wonder Woman. Hal, the Green Lantern, gets impatient and pays a visit to Batman, protesting his absence at the Justice League headquarters. Batman is seen chasing Scarecrow criminals, and when he sees the Green Lantern, he is sure he is here because of the missing Navy missiles. Green Lantern intervenes and gets the criminals caught by the police, which infuriates Batman, who wanted some answers from the criminals. They join the rest of the League at the Hall of Justice, where they inspect the retrieved submarine to look for clues. Flash deduces that this was done by hand, as he finds multiple footprints on the body of the submarine. As Cyborg reenacts the scene of his attack through a hologram, the team breaks down the characteristics of the assaulters. Wonder Woman recognizes them to be warriors from Atlantis, a lost city whose people were turned into creatures of the waters by the powers of their king's trident. Shazam suggests Dr. Stephen Shin might be able to help them, as he once watched his detailed documentary on Atlantis City. Batman and Superman leave in search of Dr. Stephen, prompting the others to search for Atlantis. Meanwhile, Prince Orm Marius is seen corroborating with the Black Manta regarding the attack on the submarine, on their way to meet Queen Atlanna, who is well aware of her son's involvement in the same attack. Orm wants to destroy the people on the surface because he holds them responsible for the death of his father, the king of Atlantis. Atlanna corrects him that the surfacers had nothing to do with the king's death, who died because of the battle against Darkseid. His mother orders him to maintain peace, as there will be no war under her reign. As he leaves her chamber, Queen Atlanna turns to Mira to inquire about her other son, Arthur Curry, who belongs to both worlds, the surface and beneath. She instructs Mira to bring him to her, so he can assume his rightful place as the future king of Atlantis. Next, the Black Manta disguises an Atlantic vessel as a human submarine and launches an attack on his people with the stolen missiles, eliminating hundreds to make it look like the surface dwellers' eye. The humans have declared war against the Atlanteans. He tries to invoke fear and anger amongst the masses, pinning the blame for his father's death on the humans. But Queen Atlanna assures everyone that she'll heighten the security and asks for support from her people to maintain peace, as she believes this was an isolated assault that does not speak for all mankind. The Queen orders Manta to align a meetup with the Guardians of the Surface, the Justice League. Orm knows he needs to take the Queen out if he wants to destroy the humans, so he concocts an evil plan. Dr. Stephen Shin shows up at the doorstep of Arthur Curry, whom he has been studying for a very long time. He says he knew his father and wishes to tell Arthur something very important, but before he has the chance to, he is eliminated by a horde of armed warriors from the sea, who advance towards Arthur, instructed by the Black Manta to eliminate him, to remove any hindrance in Prince Orm's way to the throne. They attack Arthur, who fights back to the best of his ability, but he is outnumbered and outpowered by them. When they almost eliminate him, destroying his house, Mira emerges from the sea just in time to catch Arthur from falling into the water. She then orders the guards to stand down, who defy her orders, as a result of which she manages to subdue all of them. Being the skilled warrior she is, she takes Arthur and heads back to the Queen. Meanwhile, Superman and Batman reach Dr. Stephen's home. It looks like it has been searched thoroughly, and everything is turned over. All of Stephen's hard work is missing. However, Superman retrieves a torn letter and a picture from Dr. Stephen's aquarium. After putting it together, they run it by Cyborg, who checks it with his facial recognition program and identifies the guy in the picture to be Arthur Curry. The letter is addressed to Dr. Stephen from Thomas Curry, revealing to him that Arthur Curry is half Atlantean. Back at Star Labs, the League is going through all their database to find any leads on Atlantis. They are contacted by Batman, who tells them to recover Arthur Curry, sending his coordinates and living address. Arthur wakes up and he is completely addled to find gills in his neck, or how he is breathing underwater. Mira comforts him and tells him the reason why she brought him there, which is to meet his mother, the Queen. Arthur harbors bitterness towards his mother, who abandoned him as a baby in his opinion. However, Mira describes what happened and fills him in on the war only he can forestall. Arthur agrees to meet Queen Atlanta. Mira takes him to a chamber where the Queen has kept the king's royal attire hidden, now intended for Arthur. Unable to process so much life-altering information, Arthur steps out to get some air and goes to the surface, Mira following behind. He thanks Mira for helping him to finally understand who he is, but he deems himself unfit to be a king. Suddenly they are ambushed by sea monsters who try to eliminate them. They put up a good fight, but the predators outnumber them by large. Suddenly, the Justice League arrives and saves them from the sea monsters. They send the predators running back to the water. While Arthur is having second thoughts about the whole situation and wishes for a simpler life, Superman expresses how he wishes he had the chance to save his people, being the sole survivor of his kind. The Black Manta notifies Orm of the failed assault on Arthur due to the protection extended by the Justice League. The Queen enters the chamber and, as always, Orm pushes her to start the war. She retorts that there will be no war, as Arthur will become the bridge between the two people, the humans and the Atlanteans. She also tells Orm that she is aware of his treachery of eliminating his people under the guise of a human attack, just to aid his plan to wage a war against the surface dwellers. As she turns around, Orm stabs her in the back, eliminating her and taking over the kingdom as the new king. He announces that the Queen was murdered by a surface dweller, gaining his peoples in support, ordering them to prepare for the war against humans. Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Cyborg along with Mira and Arthur enter the premises of Atlantis, which seems deserted. They learn about the Queen's death, and Mira does not doubt for a second that Orm is responsible for this atrocity. Surprisingly, Orm appears, and when Mira accuses him of eliminating the Queen, he accepts it rather proudly. Arthur charges at him, but Orm manages to defeat him with the power of the trident. He defeats all of them and encapsulates them in separate pods, throwing them to the lair of the monster of Atlantis. Arthur wakes up and uses his power to break free of the pod and notices a ginormous monster about to engulf the others. Arthur sets Superman free and gets rid of the monster with his powers. Arthur also notices that he can now communicate with all the fish. Cyborg establishes his connection with the surface side members of Justice League, Batman, Flash, and Shazam, who warn him about a huge tidal wave heading for Metropolis. It seems Orm has declared war against the surface with all his people. The city of Metropolis is guarded by the army, which tells the Atlanteans to retreat. Orm Marius introduces himself as the king of Atlantis and orders his masses to attack the humans. The Justice League joins in, along with Mira and Arthur, who try to fight off the Atlantean army. The Black Manta tries to eliminate Arthur, telling him that he is responsible for all the attacks Arthur faced. Arthur summons a great shark to take care of Manta, as he has royal blood running through his veins. Orm subdues Mira with the trident and orders his guards to seize her, while she tries to stalk him out of this wrecking war that will result in the loss of millions of lives. Shazam attacks Orm with his lightning, but Orm absorbs it and yields it back at Shazam with a greater magnitude, defeating him. Cyborg rushes to aid him, but Orm gets him, shutting down all his systems. With that, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Flash all try to get Orm, but he manages to overpower them all. Neither the Amazonian strength of Wonder Woman nor the dauntlessness of Superman stands a chance in front of the mighty trident. Arthur and Orm engage in one-on-one combat, and even though Arthur puts up a good fight, Orm does not seem to be losing. Seeing that the battle is not getting them anywhere, Batman asks the Green Lantern for any information he might have so they can turn the tables. Batman revives the Cyborg with a taser machine and makes him project a hologram for all the masses to view the admission of Orm eliminating his mother. The Atlantean soldiers are left baffled and they denounce Orm, who tries to lie his way out of this situation. But Mira confirms that Orm indeed eliminated the Queen. Arthur knocks him out with a well-deserved blow and takes charge of the people of Atlantis, introducing himself as the bridge between the two worlds and promising to be their beacon at all times. The war ends. In the end, the Justice League is seen supporting Arthur at his coronation ceremony. Peace has been restored in Atlantis. The Justice League decides to meet weekly to maintain law and order, and they invite Arthur, now named the Aquaman, to be a part of the League. He happily accepts while leaving to attend to his King of the Sea duties.